So after learning about the introduction of the Egyptian civilization, in today's class, let us learn about the main features of this civilization. Okay, so what are the main features of Egyptian civilization? So under this, the first thing that we are going to learn is the town planning. How they have planned their cities or towns. That shows the how advanced that civilization is. So here the point is under the features of the Egyptian civilization, its town planning is very important. Even though we do not know much about the town planning skills of the Egyptian civilization, a few cities like Memphis in the Lower Egypt and Thebes in Upper Egypt, they grew naturally while some Egyptian cities were planned. So we have discussed, right, this is the Nile River and this is Lower City and this is Upper City. So archaeologists have examined two cities called Memphis in the Lower Egypt and Thebes in the Upper Egypt. So these two cities, they grew naturally. Okay, so nobody planned it and no, they grew, but they happened naturally. So while some Egyptian cities they planned, archaeologists have noticed some Egyptian cities with a proper planning. And the planning of cities and towns was based on proximity to Nile and need to protect them from flooding. So the way the Egyptian people developed cities was based on their proximity to Nile. That means, the distance and the safe distance that they can build the cities. So they want Nile River to be even very near, not very nearer, but it should be available to them at a very safe distance. And all such factors were dependent for any city to be constructed in Egyptian or along the in Egyptian civilization. The cities that built were always checked for proximity to Nile River. That means whether they are safely away from the Nile thing or whether they are at a safe distance from the river or not. So these factors were taken into consideration because Nile River floods will come every year. So if they build it so close, then the floods may drown all the towns and cities. So they always took that factor into consideration to build their cities. That's the only planning that the archaeologists have observed. What is the planning that they observed? They constructed cities at a safe distance from Nile River. So whether it may be not close, not too far, it's a safe proximity distance for cities and all were built. The excavations of several towns shows that main streets run parallel through the center of the town. So if you take this as a town and this is the main street run completely in the center of the town. And here the narrow streets they intersect at right angles. So these are the narrow streets and this is a broad main street. Okay, so this main road always goes in the center of the town and the other streets will go at right angles. They are very narrow. You can see that kind of planning here. So if this is you consider as a main road or this is considered as a main road, then the small streets are intersecting to the right angles. So that's how this was the another kind of planning that these people have observed or the archaeologists have noticed. The houses were constructed using sun-baked bricks. What do you mean by sun-baked bricks? With whatever clay they make bricks, they dry them in sun. Okay. So when these bricks are dried in sun, they become hard and those bricks are used for construction of houses. They had mostly flat roofs. So see, you can, if this is the roof of every house, they are flat. There is no much like a dome shape, nothing like that. They are very flat. And most houses has 2 to 3 rooms. So that means they have in every house there is mostly 2 to 3 rooms, a courtyard. Courtyard means an open area and kitchen area. So suppose you take this is the house. Sometimes the courtyard may be in the center, or sometimes it may be in the starting place itself. So there is also a kitchen they observed, and the royal homes were fenced by high walls and moats for security reason. See, royal homes, that means they observed certain houses in a very different manner. They had high compound walls. If you look at this house, it has a very high compound wall. Why do you think they have built high compound wall? Because one way they wanted to protect themselves from floods, even if the floods enter, and the other thing is for security purpose. As they belong to royal family members, they want security. So what they built such kind of high walls and also moats. What is this moats? See, if suppose this is house, around this house they dig the earth and they fill it with water. Okay, so that it becomes difficult for enemies to enter through this waters and all. So they'll have access to directly, but around the house they'll build certain kind of water like this, and it's a security, you know, arrangement that they have built. Even ancient forts and all, if you might have seen, there will be water around the forts. They dig water, earth deep, and they fill it with water so that people can't enter easily into the forts. So one such arrangement was seen only with the royal houses. Public buildings were also surrounded by high walls. So whichever buildings that public use in common, they were also having a high compound walls. So this is about the town planning of Egyptians. So after understanding the town planning and its features, then let us understand the architecture of the Egyptians. So architecture generally covers about their construction style, what kind of buildings they have constructed, and all other such information. So let us see about the architecture of Egyptians. The Egyptians built several architectural structures and monuments along the Nile River. So monuments and all means like big buildings and all. So they have built several such buildings or constructions along the Nile River. So along the Nile River only, the Egyptians have constructed several structures. Their pyramids and temples are of great examples of their architectural brilliance. How do you say that Egyptians are well advanced in construction style and architecture that can be revealed through the pyramids and their temples? So they have built several pyramid-like structures. Also, they built certain temples. These two things reveal that they are masters in architecture. They have a good engineering architectural people. And all the pyramids, temples, royal buildings, high walls and houses were built using sun-baked and mud bricks and stones. If you look at their architecture, what kind of architecture they have? They constructed pyramids. This pyramid structure you can see here. They constructed temples. So this is one temple in Egyptian civil. You can observe. You can see the god. The entry. How a temple looks in Egypt. This is how it looks. Okay, and royal buildings that you have seen in a previous slide. No, with high walls. There will be a building. Houses will be there, and houses were built using sun-baked and mud bricks. So generally they prepare the bricks with with mud, and later they dry them using the sun. So in open sun they used to dry the bricks, and with that bricks they used to construct certain buildings. And also they used stones. Okay, what kind of stones did Egyptians use for construction? They used limestone and sandstone and granite. Okay, this limestone you might have seen. Okay, and the sandstone. So when during explanation I'll show you the pictures of limestone and sandstone, because I have no place to adjust things here. So I'll show you limestone and sandstone how they look, and granite, isn't it? Granite stones, how they look, you might have observed in your house flooring and all, granite stones. So using all such material, they constructed the buildings. So they also constructed dams, canals, dikes, and reservoirs. A dam, how it looks like, to store water, canals, to supply water, and dikes. These are smaller than canals, and they specially used to supply water for the field directly. and reservoirs, again a storehouse of waters. These are all built utilizing the Nile water for agriculture. See, the purpose of building dams, canals, dikes or small channels, reservoirs is to supply the or to utilize the Nile water for agriculture. The irrigation facilities have been very well managed in Egyptian civilization. They built dikes like this. They also constructed some kind of dams like this. So they stored water, understood? And thus the construction is observed even in irrigation facilities. One hand they made pyramids, temples, and the other hand the construction is even seen in the dikes, reservoirs, and many other such irrigation oriented structures. The Great Pyramid of Giza is listed among the seven wonders of the ancient world. So if you look at this pyramid, this is Great Pyramid of Giza. So the largest pyramid as of now. And this is even listed in the seven wonders of the world. This pyramid was built for a pharaoh. You all know that pyramids are nothing but graves built for the kings. The kings in Egyptian civilization were known as pharaohs. So a king by name Khufu, okay, his name was Khufu. On his behalf, this pyramid of Giza was built. And the other monument which displays the architectural finesse of Egyptians is the Sphinx. Okay, so one great monument which which had listed in seven wonders is Great Pyramid of Giza. Giza is the name of the place and the pyramid. And the other great monument that was that occupied a very important place in Egyptian civilization is Sphinx. Okay, it is a mythological creature. Mythological means as per their religious beliefs, they had they have constructed this kind of structure. What is the Sphinx? It is having a human head and a lion's body. The head is with human and the body is of lion. The Sphinx is also having a very important place in architecture of Egyptians. So this is about the architectural skills of Egyptians. So after understanding the architecture of Egyptians, let us see how the society was there, how society was present. The arrangement of society is called social structure. Socially, how people have organized themselves. Is there any differences between people or what categories of people were living? All such details you can learn from social structure. The ancient Egyptian society was divided into three classes. So people have organized themselves into three different classes: upper class, middle class, and lower class. Based on the work they do, it is historians who have divided this. People were divided, they were doing their work and socially they were uh, enjoying different status. But for our understanding, the social classes were divided. The social structure was divided into three categories. One is upper class, middle class, and lower class. And each class had its own set of duties and rights. So each class people they had a special work to do, they had a special rights. So first thing is upper class. If you look at the picture here, okay, so you can compare here like upper class and then comes the middle class and last but not least the lower class. Okay, so here the upper class consists of royal family members, that means king and his family members, priests who are nothing but the ritual head of a temple, and government officials. So kings, pharaohs, government officials, I know soldiers, even the scribes. Here now as per this, these people they come under the upper class. And then comes the middle class, merchants, manufacturers, craftsmen. So merchants and artisans you can call. These two categories, okay, these two categories they come under the middle class. Merchants and all business people and a craftsmen who make several kind of works with using hands, artisans we can call them. And the lowermost class is farmers, slaves, and peasants. So farmers and slaves, they have been grouped into the lowest class. So this is how socially people have organized themselves into groups in Egyptian society. So if you observe Egyptian society, highest status is enjoyed by kings and his family members along with priests. The next level status is enjoyed by merchants or business class people or the manufacturing class people. And the lowest status is enjoyed by farmers and slaves. Okay, so there is no much information about like how they are treated and all, but they were the last category of people according to the information that people got through various sources. So this is about the social structure of the Egyptian society. So just now we have studied about the society of Egypt, right? So how socially they were arranged. Now let us try to understand. See, when society is there, definitely there will be units. What was the basic unit of Egyptian society? With what the society has started there? It is family. So family is the basic unit of Egyptian society. So all families together, they form a society. So in this society we have seen in the form of pyramid, right? How what kind of categories of people. So but all the society, the structural and basic unit is family. So let us see how the family is organized. The Egyptians greatly valued their family life. So they have given a lot of importance in living like a family. Egyptian family consisted of a husband, wife, and children. You can see here in the picture a husband, a wife, and their childrens. Okay, this constitutes the family of a Egyptian society, and they had to work for a living. So this is obvious, right? The family, they have to do some work. Understand? So, and the family is dependent on them. Women were, sorry, while women took care of the home and children. So what happens? The head of the family is father, and he used to go for work, and women or mother used to take care of the family. Mother used to take care of the family, and father used to work. Women were treated with respect and were equal to men in the eyes of law. So even though mother is having next to father, even though mother is not head of the family, they given equal respect to women. Okay, so by giving family control over the family, it shows that they have respect for women, but they were expected to obey their husbands and fathers. So generally, as it is a patriarchal society, that means where male person is head of the family, in such societies, generally male domination will be there, and here also same. So the women have to listen to husband or their fathers. So so the thing is they have to be obeying to the males. So such was the arrangement. Boys learned the craft and trade from their fathers. So the boy children in the family, they go with the father, and also they also learn the work which the father is doing. So that's how they pass the working the craft skills to their next generation. And when girls learn the housework from their mothers, so as boys go out along with fathers, they learn the skills from the father. Suppose if a father is making pots, if a father is a farmer, then son also goes along with him and he learns the farming techniques or how to make pots. Whereas girls, they have to stay with the mothers and learn household works. Wealthy families sent boys to school around the age of 7. Education of girls was rare. So if you take a royal family or if you take a very high noble family, then in that families, okay, boys were sent to schools at the age of 7. They can even learn other kind of techniques, war techniques and other things. Whereas if you say craft family, if they're making a pots and all such families, they send boys to learning pot making skills and other such things. Whereas if the boy belongs to a royal family, king's family, or other minister's family and all, then they will be sent to schools at the age of 7. And education to girls was rare. They have not seen any instances observing that girls are also sent to schools. The upper class families lived luxurious life and enjoyed recreational activities. So as the name itself suggests that upper class family, they are rich by nature. They had always a luxurious life and recreational activities such as swimming. So recreation means just for relaxing, to spend time, leisure time. They used to practice swimming, fishing, and boating in the River Nile. So this kind of luxurious recreational activities was limited to which class of Egyptian society? Only the upper class. Other two classes they didn't had this kind of recreation. Only upper class family had recreations like swimming, fishing, boating in the river Nile. So this is about the family life of an Egyptian family or Egyptian society. So coming to the occupation of the Egyptian people, what kind of works they used to do? What was the work they preferred in those days? So that we will see in this occupation. The occupations of ancient Egyptians included agriculture, animal husbandry, art and craft. However, agriculture remained their core occupation. So among the various occupations, the Egyptians have undertaken agriculture as the main occupation and animal husbandry, rearing of cows and other things, art and craft, the craftsmen. So these three are the important, occupations, jobs or professions that people used to do. However, agriculture remained their core occupation. That means agriculture was the important occupation. You can see from the picture here, representing agricultural activities by the Egyptian farmers. Let us see agriculture. How, what kind of by looking at the irrigation itself, we can understand, right? They built reservoirs, dams, dikes, and all. What for all these things? For agriculture, to supply water to agriculture, isn't it? So that shows that Egyptians are more serious in doing agriculture. Rest of them are they occupy the next levels. Understand? But primary focus is on agriculture. Agriculture was one of the main reasons for the rise of Egyptian civilization. So, as we have discussed in the beginning itself, there are favorable things for agriculture. There is plenty of water, and the soil carried by this water, flood waters, get deposited on the banks, and it is more useful for cultivation. So, that fertile soil and water is the main reason why people have settled here. So, the primary reason for people settling down along the banks of River Nile is that they can do agriculture happily here because there is nice soil here, there is a lot of water available here. So one reason is fertile soil deposits, that means black soil is present, abundant water supply from the Nile River, that means throughout the year water is available, well developed irrigation system, that means they constructed dams, reservoirs, dikes, isn't it? So that all makes agriculture more feasible. It enabled people to grow crops all the year round. So these all features or factors made people settle here and carry out agriculture activities throughout the year. Water is available for the crops throughout the year. Their chief crops were wheat, millet, barley, dates, figs, and melons. So they also grew flax, which was converted into linen. So you might have been aware of all this wheat, barley, and other things. But what is this flax? You might have seen these flax seeds, right? So this is the flax seed, and this is how the dates you can see here they've been grown, and this is how the flax crop will grow. Okay, this is a dried one, but you can see later, no, the dried grass of this flax crop will be taken and it is converted into linen. So a smooth fiber, which is used for weaving clothes and all, linen clothes we call. This grass is finely refined and it is converted into like this thread kind of linen thread. Okay, so this was a very important crop for Egyptians. So let us try to understand now the other profession called domestication of animals. We have finished in the uh, the occupations. We have finished agriculture. Now we are learning about the domestication of animals. In this, the Egyptians domesticated animals such as donkeys, camels for transport, and dogs for security in homes, cattle, goats, and sheep for agricultural activities. So donkeys and camels were domesticated for transportation purposes. Cattle, goats, and sheep are for the agricultural activities, and dogs for like safeguarding homes and all. Animals were reared for eggs, milk, and meat. So sheep and goats were even used for meat purpose. The royal families often had dogs, cats, and monkeys as pets. So you can see here, if you consider this picture, which was the original one, which is depicted on a wall. So you can see a royal family person, you know, carrying on the dogs and all. And they had monkeys as pets, cats as pets. However, horses were used by royal families to drive chariots in war. So there was also evidences of the royal families using horses, and these horses were used to drive the chariots. What are these chariots? They are the vehicles that are pulled by horses, in warfare to do wars and all. So you can see the cattle pictures and all, which were painted by Egyptian painters. So these are all the evidences that reveal that they know they have domesticated these animals. You can see a person milking a cow here, right? So this shows no, like they were domesticating these animals. These are the evidences, sources from which we know all this kind of information. So this is about the domestication of animals.